Alright guys, just like I said in my top 10 best movies video is that there will be a top 10 worst. Also, a quick reminder, like I said in my top 10 best, is that I haven't come across every single movie this year. I started this channel right around when Captain America the Winter Soldier came out, and I was lucky enough to skip out on the shitty January, February movies. That is until 2015 comes, and I have no choice but to see them because I don't want any of you to suffer such shitty movies like I have. That's why this list exists, so that way I can tell you my personal movies that just made me check out, bore me to death, and all around just didn't like these films. Usually these ones are the most fun, so let's get this started. So here is my list of top 10 worst movies of 2014. Okay, so number 10. Kicking off this list is a comedy that proves that road trip movies are dead and unfunny. And that is Melissa McCarthy's Tammy. I gave Tammy a red box rating, but then when I watched it again, I was like, this movie deserves a Netflix rating. And personally, I like Melissa McCarthy. I think she is one of the most funniest women out there right now. But her and Tammy? No. The chemistry between her and Susan Sarandon was like an apple and an orange. They didn't go well together, and their jokes weren't funny at all. I don't know how an apple and an orange would crack jokes, but just hear me out on this one. And I said in my review how things get better and the jokes get funny. I was probably drunk when I saw it, and I'm sorry for those who have spent their money to see this stupid comedy. Cause her doing this shit when she's like gonna rob a fast food joint, it's fucking stupid. Okay, so number 9. At number 9 is an animation slash musical that has enough piss and shit jokes that will just make you just stop watching. And that is the animation Rio 2. There's gotta be an animation somewhere, and Rio 2, that is the worst one of the year. I didn't see the first Rio, but I heard it was like a decent kids movie. Now after Rio 2, this makes me not want to get involved with the franchise at all. The characters were lazily written, and by the end you just don't give a shit about them. And all the birds singing songs in the Amazon with Bruno Mars and Janelle Monáe, the soundtrack wasn't even good. It's like this, if you put this on for your kid, they'll be distracted because you know that they'll see an entourage of singing blue fuckers on screen. And that is a perfect opportunity for you to crack open a bottle of Jack and just down it and just relax and don't watch the movie, ever. Okay, so number 8. Coming at number 8 is an action franchise that gets all the old school action stars and putting them in one movie and you see them kicking straight ass. Oh wait, no, never mind, because they got these younger people you don't give a shit about in Sylvester Stallone's The Expendables 3. The target audience is supposed to be people who grew up in the 80s who dreamed of having all these action stars coming into one movie. Now that they have, the first two absolutely delivered, but the new one, it totally goes against what it stands for. Because you got these young people that you have no idea who they are and their chemistry was shit. Every time they say a line or talk, you're like, you guys don't have the same charm like the old guys do. But the old guys back on screen, you literally don't see them like 85% of the movie. And I had to poke fun at the PG-13 rating because some scenes looked absolutely fake. Hopefully no more Expendables movies, I'm done with those. Okay, so number 7. At number 7 is another comedy that focuses on marriage after having kids and how your sex life would just be shitty. And that is Cameron Diaz's and Jason Segel's Sex Tape. I'm sure this is meant for couples who have been married for decades and they're just trying to get that sex spark back into their marriage. I get that. Unlike me, I'm not married and was never married. But how long some of these acts lasted, you're like, holy shit, is this over? They just continue on with the joke, and the more they do it, the less funny it gets. It like overstays its welcome. I shit you not, they spent about 30 minutes at Rob Lowe's house. At least it felt like 30 minutes, but for a comedy like that, it just loses focus, and I do mean a lot. It's not gonna backfire on me. Probably when my sex life is shit after I get married for so long, I'll understand this movie. But in the meantime, this movie can fuck off. Okay, so number 6. Coming at number 6 is a reason why slasher movies aren't cool or even scary anymore. And that is Idris Elba in No Good Deed. I admit, the setup for the villain played by Idris Elba was cool, but when it got to the meat of the movie, it was executed so poorly. Not only were the characters like the most idiotic and clueless, but so was the villain at some parts. Just the stuff that he does and he says, and it makes me go like, if I was a serial killer like you, people would have caught on to me. He goes against like every rule in the serial killer handbook if he wants to get away. And the whole movie was predictable. You pick it apart and it just becomes less fun. As far as the characters go, this may be the worst one this year. Okay, so number 5. Number 5 is another comedy that proves that horror movie parodies should have just died at Scary Movie 3. and that is Marlon Wayans' A Haunted House 2. What made me check out of this abomination is the scream he does. It was just so annoying, it made me want to shoot myself in the face. He literally has sex with a stupid looking Annabelle porcelain doll. I'm like, is this supposed to be funny? And it gets worse when all this shit is happening is cause Marlon Wayans doesn't call the doll after a night of sex. I was so close walking out of the theater on this one, but I stayed strong and I took the bullet. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to save this horrendous piece of shit on my top 10 list. Okay, so number 4. Coming at number 4 is the return of Michael Bay and him showing how much of a master he is at creating action blending with comedy. Can you feel the sarcasm? Yeah, I know you do, and I am talking about Transformers: Age of Extinction. I gave this the benefit of the doubt because it had a brand new cast, Autobots, and the whole package. I was excited to see a fresh take on a possible new Transformers trilogy. But thanks to Michael Bay, he totally went against what I wished for and gave us an almost 3-hour shit fest. It was basically a rehash of why these Transformers movies were shitty in the first place. You have really awful characters with a plot that just tries to be bigger than what it is, and it just eventually falls flat on itself. And thank goodness for Michael Bay, because he took Stanley Tucci, one of the coolest actors right now, and turned him into the most annoying character this year. It baffles me how this movie made over $1 billion. Can you believe that shit? Thank you, product placement, because you gave Michael Bay enough money to make another Transformers. Okay, so number 3. At number 3 is my pick for the worst comedy this year and told me that Seth MacFarlane should just stick to cartoons. And that is Seth MacFarlane's A Million Ways to Die in the West. I swear, if I had a nickel for every time Seth MacFarlane's character complained on how the West sucks, I have enough money to make a Marvel movie. The jokes weren't even funny. This cartoonish humor he has, it does not translate to screen whatsoever. The only good character was like Neil Patrick Harris, but everybody else, basically shitty characters. I would see my workplace selling copies of this movie and I will get so furious that I just want to burn them all. How horrible can this movie get? Okay, so number 2. Coming at number 2 is a horror movie spin-off of an actually really good horror movie that came out last year. From the director of Mortal Kombat Annihilation comes Annabelle. Annabelle had like one freaky part, but the rest of the movie, boring as shit. Not only that, but you easily got the worst portrayal of parents I have ever seen in a movie. The husband seriously asks, "Why should I lock the door at night?" You serious, dude? Are you that stupid? The acting was just abysmal and even the premise was shit. By the end, you kind of wish this demon would get this married couple because of how dumb they are. And of course, ending their acting career altogether. Watch them win Oscars one day. I'm gonna eat my own words, I swear. It was a really sloppy movie altogether, but oh wait, there's one that just made this look like a decent horror movie. Okay, so number 1. Finally, on the number 1 spot on my shit list is a movie that made me pull all my hair out, almost made me rush up to a manager and ask for my money back because the movie is that shitty. And what a wonderfully shitty year for horror movies, and I give the worst movie to Ouija. There was like nothing special about this movie that stood out. All the actors were really terrible. The ghost that was haunting them wasn't even threatening because they killed the people so fast it doesn't even give you time to think. Worst ghost I have ever seen in a movie. Even the makeup on it was shitty. When you're in a theater full of high school girls who get scared by the sight of a mouse and they don't get scared by this movie, you know something's wrong. Because their boyfriends could be all like, "Oh, I can save you from the shitty PlayStation 1 looking ghost." They're like, "No, get the fuck off me. I'm not even scared by this movie." And hats off to the brave men who didn't get laid that night. I checked this out the same night that me and my buddies saw John Wick and we're like, cool, sweet ass action film. And then we resorted to this piece of shit next. It totally killed our mood. Don't ever see Ouija, you guys. I'm telling you that right now. Alright, I'm done ripping into movies. That is the end of my top 10 worst movies of 2014. And I know I haven't seen all the shitty movies this year, but I bet that there are ones way worse than the ones I mentioned right here. Which I'm gonna ask, what is your top 10 worst movies of 2014? And whatever they are, leave a comment below. And as always, there's a link for my Twitter and my Facebook in the description below. But in the meantime, I have to get going. And you guys have a happy new year and be safe.